Hello. Get your official products such as this marvelous t-shirt that I'm wearing or this great coffee mug that I'm drinking out of and many other products with the show about stuff, the Stephen Davis logo at https://www.zazzle.com/store/a-stuff-store and make sure you get your 15% discount today.
Welcome to a new podcast show about stuff. It's the show about stuff, the Stephen Davis Show. Here's you host, Stephen Davis.
Welcome to the show about stuff, the Stephen Davis Show. Today, my guests are members of the iconic group who in the 70s had a smash hit, Just Give Me Just a Little More Time. Welcome, Chairman of the Board, Ken Knox, Brandon Stevens, Thomas Hunter, and their musical director and member of their backup group, the Executives, Jerry Midas Hardison. Thank you all so much for being here. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. How are you all doing today?
Fantastic.
Oh, man.
It's a beautiful day.
Yes.
Well,
Lovely.
Ken, I want to ask you a question. Since you are been in the group the longest, how did the name Chairman of the Board come about?
Rumor has it that Holland Dozier Holland gathered some college students at UD, University of Detroit, and they actually came up with the name. College students picked the name, yes. That was told to me by General, and I know you. But yeah, story goes that some college students from the University of Detroit picked the name.
Okay, so let's talk first. When was Chairman of the Board formed?
1969.
1969.
In
Okay.
Detroit.
In Detroit. Were you a member of the group when it first began?
I came in 1973. I was a huge fan of the group. And it was like a dream come true when Danny Woods, I was playing in a local group in Detroit. You know, we had regional records in the band I was in. And Danny Woods came into this club that we were performing. And he said, hey man, I like your style. And he said, we are reforming the group and I'd like for you to come audition. And I'm saying, oh man, I've never auditioned for in my life. So when I walk into Invictus Records studio, all my musical heroes were there. There was General Johnson, Danny Woods, Harrison Kennedy, and the band were the Funkadelics. Eddie Hazel, Bernie Tiki Fullwood on drums, Billy Bass on bass, and they had this white guy named Ron Bukowski on rhythm guitar, and McKinley Jackson.
Yeah,
all of us have dealings with McKinley later on in life, but I knew this, man, I can't make this. Look, my heroes are here. And they say, yeah, you're in. And I could not believe it. Because like I said, I was a huge fan of Chairman of the Board, and never did I ever dream that I would become a member for this long. That's 48 years.
What I usually do is I want to first go way back to when you were a wee kid at the knee of your mother and talk about those days for each of you. First, I want to start with you, Ken. Where were you born at?
I was actually born in Charleston, West Virginia, but my family left when I was 3 months old. We moved to Detroit. So I know nothing of West Virginia, except it's a state. But my upbringing, I was in Detroit, since I was 3 months old. And recently I found out my mother, her sisters, they had a quartet. They had a gospel quartet. And only about a year ago, I found this out. My mother never talked about it. And my sister, one of my older sisters, she was one of the first artists, gospel artists, to sign with Motown Records. Her and Kim Weston. Kim Weston, right?
Yes, I know Kim Weston, yes.
Yeah, so my sister Kim Weston and I think two other girls. They were the first gospel group signed to Motown's gospel label. That was an influence. And I had a brother who played saxophone. And I'm not ashamed to say my first saxophone came out of the '68 riots. So my brother saw this guy walking down the street with the saxophone, because during that time, man, people were running down the streets with TVs. So these guys were running down the street with hi-fi. So my brother said he saw the sax, and I think he gave the guy $50, and he brought it home and presented it to me. And I was like, oh, wow. And so my influence was basically my family. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
How was it growing up in Detroit? It seemed to be such a musical place to be at that particular time.
Man, I was fortunate. I was very fortunate. One of the guys from the Contours lived down the street from me. Cool Jerk.
Oh, really? Cool Jerk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Stevie Wonder lived around the corner from me.
Oh.
Let me see who else. The Four Tops. Lawrence from the Four Tops lived on the next block. So I was surrounded. They said Nashville's Music City, but Detroit definitely is. And I was just fortunate to be exposed to so much of the present day music. And growing up in Detroit, man, if you were not singing on the street corners, you were trying to sneak into a club to see some of these artists. Right. Because you're underage.
How did Motown influence the growing up process in terms of what you aspire to be?
Because when you're walking down the street, all you hear is Motown records coming out of people's homes. And if you keep hearing this stuff, sooner or later you're saying, I've got to follow this. And I was fortunate enough to meet Junior Walker, one of my idols. And so he influenced me a whole lot. And, but hey, it just caught on. Like I said, music was all around me.
I was involved with a record company in I believe it was in the 80s, that Junior Walker had signed to as the last time he signed a contract, because he died not too long after that. And the record company released his last record. Yeah. So what schools did you go to?
Okay. Junior, I cannot remember the elementary school, but junior high, I went to Condon High. And I actually wrote something on joined my junior high's page. And I wrote a great story, I thought, yesterday. So I went to Condon High. My music teacher was Mr. Kane. I went to Western High School from that, and my music teacher was Mr. Leroy Raleigh. And I was fortunate enough to go back and see him before he passed. They gave him his 80th birthday party. That's 6 years ago. And I hadn't seen the man since school. But I presented him with an award from me. And he was so surprised because he influenced me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here's the deal. He knew I could not read the music. He knew it, but he stuck with me because my thing was, my ear was so good, I knew where the music was going. I played Barry sax in the orchestra and marching band, but I was a level E reader. But my ears were sharp. He stuck with me because he could have said, hey, Knox, the door's that way, but he didn't. And that's why he meant a lot to my career, because he stuck with me and he saw something in me. Okay.
Now, who is the next oldest? Because I want to go, see, I like to move out between the people and not do all at one time. Now, who's the next oldest?
Are you saying Ken is the oldest?
Tom, where were you born at?
Actually, I was born in South Carolina,
Spartanburg.
Yeah, I didn't grow up or go to school in Spartanburg, though. I was just born there. I didn't have the traditional family life of mom and daddy. I didn't have that. I was actually raised by a grandmother and then an aunt and uncle. That they did the best they could by me, gave me everything that I needed. But I didn't have that traditional thing that was going on. I went through some changes in my lifetime. One, as far as school, I went to, since Ken mentioned elementary, I went to N.H. Jones Elementary School that was right across the street from my house. And then I went to Howard High School. Let's see. My musical influence vary. I like pop, rock, R&B, jazz. I like a lot of different types of music. As long as it's music, it's something that intrigues me about the music. I'm getting at a loss for words, but I have lots to tell you. I want to say, how much time do you have?
How was it in terms of when you were going to school? What were some of your influences in going to school?
Actually, I started as wanting to be a saxophone player. I had a relative that was supposed to be sending me a saxophone for Christmas, but wound up sending me, this is going to date me, a Magnus Ford organ. Brandon and Midas, I know you don't know what that is. I went from that, and I went from that and writing the high school theme song and doing a lot of different things. I went from that to playing piano. I studied at Converse theory and music composition. And then I had some private classes in commercial songwriting and music psychology. But the thing that influenced, it's all about the music. As I was saying before, there are a lot of people who influenced me. There are a lot of genres that I liked. I can't just pinpoint one particular artist or one particular thing because I like so many. Midas could say, as in, because we've worked together in another medium before, I do everything. I like all types of music.
But tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to ask this question.
Ask
what
me,
is music psychology?
Okay, I can give the closest. Okay, the closest thing that I can give you to music psychology is that when you do repetition in music, it creates a trance. And that trance is called the hook. And that hook is what usually get people to listen. That's part of the psychology of music. You want to be able to create a trance or create a hook or something to pull people in, like the earworm that goes on. And then learning that, you learn about the gem of the music, and you learn how to make that happen, how to stack your notes together and stack your sounds together in order to get the desired results.
Now, who's the next oldest? Okay, Brandon. That means Jerry, you the baby.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay, Brandon, where are you from?
I was born in Baltimore, Maryland. Lived there for about 2 years. My dad was stationed at Aberdeen Proving Ground, which is just a little bit north of Baltimore. When I was still a baby, we moved to Greenville, South Carolina, and then later moved to Lexington, South Carolina, which is just outside Columbia. So that's where I grew up.
Did your father get out of the army, and that's why you moved to Greenville?
He actually went into the reserves. After he served his time at Aberdeen Proving Ground, he got a job with Michelin Tire, which headquarters is in Greenville. And then they opened up a new plant in Lexington, South Carolina. So he was part of the opening of the new facility.
Let me go back a little bit just to ask one question of you, Ken, and you, Tom, because I failed to ask. What were your parents' names?
Okay, my father was Leonard Knox, and my mother was Virginia Knox.
Okay.
Well, my mother was Emily, and my father was Hugh.
Okay. Now, Brandon, your turn. Your parents.
Yeah, dad's name is James Stevens. He's from Saluda, South Carolina, little country town. And my mother, maiden name Rose Galloway. He's from Anderson, South Carolina. And that's where the musical side comes from. My mother, all of her aunts, and all of her sisters, and her one brother, they all sing and play piano. Whenever we would go visit family, they would all gather around the piano singing. And my mother, she always had a piano in the house. So I learned how to pick at the piano from a young age, just playing stuff and then in elementary school, I think 5th grade, I joined the concert band. I tried out on some of the brass and woodwind instruments, but I couldn't get any noise to come out of them. I played in the concert band for about 4 years.
Did you have occasion to play in the church also?
No, I didn't actually. We attended church on a regular basis, but the church I was in was very old fashioned. They didn't really let a lot of the younger musicians play instruments in that church. So yeah, I never really got an opportunity to play or sing in church growing up. I actually didn't join my home church choir until after I graduated from college. Yeah. So all of my musical training was at home, singing along the records. My mother, she's strictly gospel, so she would play a lot of Winans, Clark Sisters, James Cleveland. Actually, my mother's cousin, he actually used to play drums for James Cleveland back in the day. So like I said, on my mother's side, the music really runs deep. And then my dad, he was really into Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Luther Vandross, Ohio Players, George Duke. So that was my balance of R&B and funk and then gospel. High school, it was interesting. I tell people that it was kind of odd because I was well known in high school, but I wasn't popular. So people knew me primarily. My first passion growing up was visual arts. I did a lot of drawing and painting in school, and that's what people knew me for up until high school when I came out of my shell a little bit and started trying to sing to girls and stuff. Lunch table trying to get some girls' attention, start singing something, and then they start gathering around. So yeah, so high school people knew me as a visual artist and as a singer, but that didn't get me invited to a whole lot of parties. So a weird dynamic there. But yeah, that's where I started to explore performing a little more. I got some of my homeboys together and we did a couple of talent shows and pageants in high school, and I led the way on all that, directing everybody on background parts and stuff like that. That's where it really started for me in high school in terms of getting in front of people.
Jerry, okay, how you doing?
Man, I'm good. I can't complain. Yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
All
good.
right. All right.
So tell me, you were born in Rock Hill. Were you?
No, I was actually born in Cheraw, South Carolina, home of jazz legend Dizzy Gillespie.
Oh, I remember that. First of all, tell me about your parents.
Oh, my parents. Oh, first names, right? My dad's name is Jerry Hardison Sr. My mother's name is Frances Hardison. Maiden name Dixon, but
Dixon. Okay. And your father's a bishop.
Yeah, bishop, man. So that already lets you know, like I grew up in the church environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it? Was he part of the AME?
Yeah, Pentecostal. So that lets you know, like even in, energy and a certain passion that comes along with being in that congregation.
Do you have any siblings?
Oh, I have an older sister. Shout out to my sister Faith, and a younger brother. Shout out to my brother Matthew.
And what about you, Ken? Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, it was 8 of us.
Oh, okay.
It was 4 me, and I led the second half. 8.
Thomas?
I have 7 brothers and 3 sisters.
Oh,
okay.
Man,
okay. And Brandon?
I've got one younger sister and one younger brother, both who are in the entertainment industry. My brother, he's a vocalist and keyboard player as well, and a songwriter. And my sister, she's in television. Like, you ever watch Fatal Attraction?
I saw the movie.
It's a TV series, Fatal Attraction, where they document and recreate his boyfriend and girlfriend situations. Well, she serves as she's appeared in a lot of episodes as a commentator on those docu-series.
Jerry, we're back to you.
Okay.
Now, you are born in Cheraw.
Yes, sir.
How long did you stay in Cheraw?
Until I graduated high school. So I went through all of the kindergarten, elementary, junior high, Cheraw High School. So I was in Cheraw, South Carolina until I went to college.
And how influential was being your high school for you in terms of your musical career?
Well, the thing is, being that church had such an impact on it. Like in high school, I was more like playing sports and working, starting my first job, getting some money in my pocket and stuff like that. So my actual influence musically came pretty much from my dealings with church, the repetition. I'm the youngest, but I'm about to say a phrase like back in that day. But that growing up in the Pentecostal church and my dad being back then a pastor, but still being responsible for many churches, there was plenty of repetition to do music. But I think I got bit by the bug of music just by being in the environment. And with that being said, I was probably, as a baby, being in church, sometimes weeknights on Sunday and things, of course. So you already getting used to these sounds and things like that. And my aunt got me my first drum set when I was 3 years old. And I got to play drums in church at an early age. But then later on, I fell in love with the piano instrument. And I was fortunate enough to actually have a piano in the house growing up. So as my attraction for the piano grew, I had access, and that was very helpful.
Did your aunt not like your parents?
Did not like this. That's my aunt. That's my Aunt Florence, man, and she's like a second mother to that. She doesn't have any kids of her own. So you saying that just like takes me back from just visiting my family and her being there this past weekend to all the way back to when I was 3. She was the one that like obviously was like, he's got an interest in drums. I'm gonna get him a drum set. So you saying that just gave me that thought. But my Aunt Flo has always been there, man. So actually she was trying to encourage it, push it along to see what could happen. So she might have been the first contributor.
Don't say it too loud because you're gonna have to reach into your pocket.
But yeah, that's amazing, man. You brought that thought.
Did you go to college?
But I'll tell you this, and Midas has agreed to help me. I was so engrossed in music that in high school, I was on the road traveling with,
Really?
I was with groups like Detroit Emeralds, a group called James Barn and the Agents. So I'm in high school, and when we come back into town Monday morning, I'm saying, I'm not going today. But the funny thing is, when I did go, I had money in my pocket. I bought everybody's lunch, all my friends. I got this today, y'all. And but unfortunately, it got to where I kept missing too much school, and I dropped out. But Midas is going to help me.
Oh yeah,
get my GED.
Okay.
I've done it before. I've helped someone get it before.
The wonderful part is that you have the desire to do, because there are a lot of people who don't have that desire. And that's the most important thing.
It is. And so I went to the School of Hard Knocks. That's where I graduated from.
KNOX. I see what you did there.
And then after you dropped out of the school, you became a musician full time.
Yes, because, hey, I didn't want to go to the car factories. I ain't going in there. I'm not gonna spend 8 days and coming out all dirty and stuff. I'm gonna concentrate on doing music, and thank God I did. But I have a lot of friends who went from playing music to the factories, and they were able to build a life for themselves and their families. And hey, I didn't miss much. I'm good.
Hey, Michael, you had a very exciting life. And we're going to explore a little bit more of it as we go along. Thomas, did you go to college?
Yes, I did. I went to Conference College. I went through scholarship. As a matter of fact, as I said, I played piano. I went on a vocal scholarship in my first 2 years, and then I went on a piano scholarship where we would audition Opus 54, number 4 by Everett Greed. Don't ask me to play it because I don't have a clue. And one thing I found out is that if you don't keep your chops up, you lose them. And that's for real. I'm also a writer. I like to write. I have an extensive catalog of songs that I've written and that I'm in the process of doing something with now. And what else? Oh, we were talking about it being in high school. The thought just came across my mind. I played E-flat French horn in concert, and I played baritone treble clef in the marching band in high school. And the thought just came across my mind. It's almost like after all these years, just thinking about some of those things. Yeah, and you brought them back to mind. I'm glad.
Awesome.
When you were in and playing those things, the horn that you talking about, because that sounds like it was a hard thing to do, that people just didn't. That was away from the guitar and the drums.
Actually, I really enjoyed it. I was reading music at the time, which now I'm not really a good at sight reading, but I was reading music at the time when I was playing in the concert band, because you had to, and you had to be able to read also to play in the marching band at Howard High Blue and Gold Marching Wild Bulls. Shout out. I was the second chair in with the horn, baritone.
Brandon, did you go to college?
Yes, I graduated from Winthrop University in Rock Hill, South Carolina. say liberal arts school, and actually Jerry and I went to college together. So
Yeah, we were there at the same time. That's when we kind of got earned some college chops together.
Yeah.
You know?
So I actually
I had some relatives to go to Winthrop. I don't remember who,
wow.
but I know that
Nice.
they went.
Okay, it's a
and
great
to,
school.
of course, South Carolina State and to Allen University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to all our Winthrop alums out there.
What were your majors?
I majored in graphic design.
I actually was a phys ed major, and I minored in athletic training. So I was into like a lot of health and fitness stuff at the time. But I did take some music electives. I took like a piano class. I was in glee club, things like that. So I was still involved. And Brandon and I were involved in the music scene outside of the classroom a lot together and stuff too.
Or what did you graduate with, Thomas? What degree?
Actually, I did not graduate with the degree. I had 4 years of commercial songwriting and music psychology in private through private courses.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ken, you quit school and you ready to hit the world. How was your feeling once you quit school? What was that feeling to say, okay, I'm getting out here?
I had my fingers crossed. I know I made a mistake. Of course, my family wanted me to finish school and possibly go to college. But my mind was saying, I need to get out here and learn. I want to take my college course in the School of Life. And my fingers were crossed, and I was very fortunate again, like I said earlier, to be around influential people. And when you are, you get the calls. All the artists back in the early 70s, the band I was in, we were like the band to back up these people. So I looked up by doing those things, being in a house band in Detroit, and all the artists would come in and we would play for them. So I looked up with that, but I still regret getting my diploma, but I know it's going to happen.
But a degree is just a confirmation to other people that you pass prescribed courses. They don't tell you whether you really know the stuff that you learn or not. You fake it in terms of passing it. Your route was college in itself.
There you go.
But it was a college. It wasn't theory, because if you missed that note, the audience let you know. Yeah, I applaud you for wanting to get your degree, but it doesn't diminish in any sense, because there are a whole lot of people who are billionaires today who didn't go to finish high school.
There you go.
So
Yes.
there's no shame in your game. Thomas, when you finish your schooling, whatever schooling you were going to do, private, public, what was your first move? Was it musically, or did you get a job and work at the music at night?
Actually, it's strange. It's odd that you asked me that, because I am actually a truck driver, tractor trailer operator. I drove tractor trailer for a company called Lifetime Door for some time out of Denmark, South Carolina. And I went from there to working in the daytime as a concierge at a hotel, and working at night doing a solo act. At night, I did that for about, maybe about 14 years. Until I got with the chairman of the board. I've been with the chairman of the board with Ken for 11 years. I had to do some other things because I had to make that cash, because the bill still had to be paid. You know what I mean?
Now, Brandon graduated from college. What did you do?
And worked in Columbia at the state newspaper as a advertising graphic designer. And I worked there for about 2 years, and then I got a job designing advertisements with the Charlotte Observer. Yeah, and I worked there for about 5 years until the newspaper industry started to collapse, and I was laid off, and it was a series of company-wide layoffs. But real quick, I did want to say something about Ken. Ken, you said you moved to Detroit when you were 3 months old, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Stephen, Ken didn't tell you that he started drinking Faygo soda when he was 3 months old.
Anybody from Detroit, that's their choice.
Oh yeah.
Because
now, what did you do when you left, Jerry? When you left?
I went into the workforce. I actually was a trainer for Bally Total Fitness back in the day. You might can't tell it now. So I was in the health and fitness field, but also playing at church. Brandon and I we did like hip hop music compilation. He was getting into doing engineering and production. We still had side projects going on. I met this artist in a church practice situation. She was about to start working on an album, and she came and talked to me just after going through rehearsals, and she asked me to do her album. So shout out to Nicole. So I produced her entire project in 2004, and that kind of opened the gates for me to see, okay, you can actually go get an album recorded. And me in my role, producing and things like that, and then doing some shows. So that opened my eyes to like, okay, you can actually get your feet wet and make some money doing some music.
Tell me, when she said she wanted you to make her album, did you look behind you and see whether there was somebody was behind you?
I made, you know what, up until that time, nobody had approached me. I would make beats for fun, have friends rap on them. I might rap on them, but until that time, nobody had approached me in a serious way to go to the studio and do some work that they plan to put out and perform. And I got some travel experiences from that project. I got a chance to go perform in New York twice, California once, Jacksonville. So we was all over the place when the project did come out. But I definitely gotta mention her name, Nicole Wells, because she showed me. And Brandon was in that situation, so I brought him in to help out as well. But she definitely showed us that this music thing can be done. So definitely salute her.
Ken, going back to you in the start of your career with chairman of the board, tell us about your first concert, the very first one that you are accepted into chairman of the board. What was your feeling as you took the stage?
First of all, my first show with chairman of the board was in Detroit, my hometown, because chairman of the board was originated in Detroit. So I couldn't believe it because we're playing Cobo Hall or Cobo Arena. It's probably like back then a 15,000 seater. On the show was the Supremes, Eddie Kendricks, and two other acts. And man, I had to pinch myself because I'm playing at home. I couldn't believe it. Now, the strange thing about that is we did 2 shows in one night. We flew from Detroit to New York the same night at the Manhattan Center. You know what that is, right?
Oh yeah, 34th Street.
Yeah, and I've never been on a plane. And this plane was, yes. And I'm saying, oh my God, I hadn't made it. So we played in Detroit probably about 7:30. We went on in New York about probably 10. And so my first shows, man, were mind-boggling. Like I said, growing up in Detroit, I never dreamed this would happen to me. I was hoping. That was my first experience with chairman of the board.
Tell us about General Johnson.
Absolutely. I've got to speak on General and Danny. General and Danny were like my big brother. There was like a 10-year difference between us. And General was just such a talented, he's what we would call a triple threat. He could write them, produce them, and sing them. Shelly has all the platinum records and everything. The gold, General's the same way because he was involved with writing hit songs for the Honeycomb, Frida Payne, 100 Proof, all the Invictus acts. And then when we left Detroit and came south to what they call Carolina Beach music, he started writing the stuff for this market. But General was really my guy. Danny Woods, also a triple threat, because Danny sung like Jackie Wilson. They idolized Jackie Wilson. And performer, there wasn't a better performer than Danny. Danny could ignite a crowd and have them up on their feet. How it was just amazing, the talent that Danny had. And he was a real spiritual guy, real spiritual. And unfortunately, we lost General in 2010 and Danny in 2018. But those guys meant a lot to me in my career, and they basically passed the baton to me.
Being out on the road for 48 years, because that's a long time. How did you all keep your show fresh for the audience in the beginning?
You couldn't, because if you didn't do certain songs, they would say, well, why don't y'all play such and such? So we basically did the same show year after year, released a record, just added to the show. But actually that show, general philosophy was, you already have a blueprint. You have the blueprint, use it till you can't use it anymore.
Right.
Because as you know, these songs are classic songs. And if you don't do them, people like, why didn't y'all not sing this and sing that? And, oh, I was waiting for this. So we never changed anything. So 40 years is a long time, and it's through God's blessing for all of us that we're able to do what we do. And again, it's a long time, and I thank God every day and night. And I also thank the fans for staying with us through the losses and everything.
Thomas?
Yes.
Tell me about your first concert with Chairman of the Board. How did you feel?
Oh, my first concert with the Chairman of the Board. I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. I felt like from seeing the reaction from the crowd and the response that they had to the music that we were doing, it was second to none. It was a wonderful thing for me because this was like a dream come true for me. Because I had performed for large crowds and I had been performing for a while, but never to this magnitude. It was just magnificent, to look out at all the people. When I first began with the Chairman of the Board, it was learning the material. When I came to audition, I had all the material written out and everybody's part written out. Actually, I had the rehearsal CD, and I knew my parts, but I really enjoyed performing for people. Ken was there to give me all the pointers that I needed on how to move the crowd. It came as a thing that I almost naturally did, but through watching Ken give me the pointers and watching him on stage, after having been with the group so long, I learned how to do a lot of things. One of the most exciting times for me was when we went to the UK and I saw all of those thousands and thousands of people out there singing songs right along with us. It was just so amazing. It was heartwarming. The
question on the table was, how did you feel when you did your first concert with Chairman of the Board? Tell me about that experience.
That's actually a funny story. When I started with Chairman, I was the lead singer for the executives and background singer on the Chairman of the Board set. So the first show that I did with Chairman was in Raleigh, North Carolina. I think we did some corporate party at the convention center or at a hotel near the convention center. And I'd actually had a bout of bronchitis leading up to that show. So in the middle of the executive set, which is like, our warm up, like party band set that we do before the Chairman come on, my voice completely went out. I lost my voice in the middle of the show. Went to the ear, nose, and throat doctor the following week, and he told me I had laryngitis. I couldn't sing for the next 3 months. Told me not to talk or sing. He told me not to talk for a couple weeks, and then I couldn't sing for 3 months. So yeah, that's how we had a show. I think the day after my voice went out, we had to play the North Carolina Barbecue Festival. So I'm standing on stage for 2 hours lip syncing.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. But he pulled it off. We experienced that kind of stuff.
Jerry?
Yes, sir.
Your first experience. Now, was chairman of the board, your first experience, or you all's first experience, or
No,
you
I
say that
think
you did other things?
yeah, I think with me, it was just like many different things that led up into the culmination of joining. Mainly just being on the scene, opportunities, sitting in with other groups, maybe help produce play parts on a song for someone else. Just many different things led up into the culmination of me having an opportunity to join the chairman of the board, which was in 2013.
2013. Thomas, what are some of the advice that you give up and coming singers as they navigate trying to get to the top?
Actually, the first advice that I give is the one that everyone does, is never give up on your dreams. One of the things about getting to the top and about getting there, you have to be spiritually fit, because I believe that everything that we have is already predestined for us, and that there is a power that's greater than ourselves that helps us along the way. So I feel like continue to do what you do, sing every opportunity that you can, put yourself in front of as many people as you can, and pray. I
Yes,
want to
yes.
say that, I've enjoyed this time. Thank you, Stephen, so much for having me and having the chance.
Thank you so much for being on here.
All right, man.
Safe, bro.
And all the best at the doctor.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, take it easy.
Bye.
Now back to you, Jerry.
Yes, sir.
Now we're talking what led up to it, but that day that you finally was on stage with the great Ken Knox.
Yeah, we was actually celebrating Ken's birthday too at that particular show. It was in January, the governor's inauguration in 2013. So it was a lot going on as far as what I was used to event wise. This is a governor inauguration, so I had never done anything like this. So it was a bit of nerves, but I was prepared, and I'm wise enough to know that after you get over the first bit of nerves, you'll be all right. So you just get through the first minute, two, and then you're in your zone, and then you can flow for the rest of the time. But just never having done anything to that magnitude prior to, it was a little nervous.
That must have been something if that's the first one that you did and it's at the governor's ball.
Absolutely. It's pretty. Just get thrown into the pool. Don't get it. You're not really putting your feet in first. Just get thrown in. But that's the best way. So you can go ahead and overcome whatever it is that you need to overcome.
Now, my show, the theme of my show is progress despite obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's the theme.
Okay.
Now, tell me about some of the obstacles you all have faced during this time together. And I know I'm jumping out up front and know that one of the top ones has to be this pandemic.
Yeah, I mean that's the one that comes to mind first and foremost, because it has changed in how we have to maneuver as well as interact. And you try to be smart and wise as you go through it. Yeah, that's definitely been an obstacle.
Ken, when General died, who actually took over the leadership of the group? Was it Brett? Was it Danny, or did you just step in at that particular point?
Actually, when General was sick, Danny and I were still together. And we were still touring, just the two of us. And Danny, he wanted to do a spinoff. In fact, Midas was a part of the spinoff. So Danny did a spinoff of, and it was called The Board of Directors. And I understood he wanted to try something new, and he did. But I was left banging my head. I had to step up because we already had a fan base. The brand was already there. And I basically started putting Brandon, our backup band is called the Executives, and they say, hey, Ken, we with y'all. We give you 150%. And they have done this since 2010 when General died. But yeah, I took over leadership.
And how did that change your life in terms of just showing up for a show to having to be the planner?
Here's the deal. I was always that. See, General and I ran the business. General and I ran the business. We also produced together in the studio. So our life was 3 days in the studio, 3 days on the road for the past 10 years. So I'm already, and I was booking, we had an agency called General Entertainment. So we had an agency, and when we were not on the road, I was in the office every day. So I booked our shows, and we had the recording company called Surfside Records. General was president, I was vice president. So I was already tuned in for what business is, what I had to do. And it just happened. And I had to do what I had to do. Thank God.
The fortunate part is that most artists that I know of might learn the performing side of the business, but they don't learn the business side of the business. And it doesn't lead to their longevity, because there are so many sharks out here that take advantage of folks that don't know the business. And then there are those that don't know the business, and you can't tell them the business because they know everything. And I'm saying that through my own experiences. But again, I'm going back to that progress despite obstacles. Your obstacle, Ken, was in your mind that you didn't have a degree, but you have a degree, business and performance. What more can you ask for? And you're successful at doing what you're doing.
Wow.
You know?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. So all praises to you in terms of that.
I appreciate that. And again, I was groomed from General.
And that is an important lesson, because I always think of Muddy Waters. I use this example all the time, that there would be no Chuck Berry, even though Chuck Berry was a very popular, a very accomplished person, but it was Muddy Waters who reached back and went to Chess Records head and said, hey, I think you need to try this guy out because he's good. That's what leaders do. Yeah. They don't look at just what they can get, but how they can bring along the younger generation, the next generation. Because even though they've been in the business for a long time, they can still learn. And they do learn.
Oh yeah, always.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Brandon, what are some of your goals?
Going forward, my goals are to continue to travel the country and the world, performing, writing songs, recording songs, and touching people through music, and talk about the business of music, just getting more experience and knowledge about the business of music. And I think I would, at some point in the future, like to mentor younger artists on just growing within the music industry.
Let me take this is apple juice, but I'm doing my commercial right there.
Yeah, very nice mug.
Yeah.
And what are your goals, Jerry?
First and foremost, I say my goal is to be the best father I can be to my son as a man and as a.
How many children do you have?
I just one.
Okay. How many children do you have, Brandon? Any children? No kids. Ken?
4. 2 boys and 2 girls.
2 boys and 2 girls. Okay. So now, Jerry, let's continue on.
Yeah. With the goals, I think just to continue on the path that I'm on, because obviously it's working out the way that it's supposed to. And along the way, I'm sure there will be opportunities musically and maybe perhaps outside of music. I feel like there's tables out there with seats with my name on it, just to continue to make good music when I'm involved, continue to perform, continue to do shows, and also to keep in mind that we do, like Brandon said, mentorship. He and I have done a lot of things at schools here in Rock Hill, where we go and we sit down with the kids, take them through a short course of music instruction, let them write a song, see how a song is made, and little things like that just give the young people the vision, or can help if they desire to do music, whether it be sing, create music, whatever. That I think that part is important to give back in that way, to help to continue to inspire the next generation as well.
All right, Ken. even though you old like me.
My goal is to keep doing what we do. My goal is to keep, here's my goal. There's 9 of us as chairman of the board and the executives. My goal is to keep us in front of as many people who love what we do. And it's because I have to say this, when we hit that stage, there's love in the room. And my goal is to keep that same love throughout this band, because each one of us respect each other. And this is a great unit. And early on, there were some people that didn't work, and I'm glad they're gone. But this unit here has been together about 11 years, 8 to 11 years. And it's the best unit out there because we all have the same goal. And again, so my goal is to continue to give the people what they want through this group.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a great goal to have. That's a great goal to have. Do you all have any closing remarks that you all would like to address to your audience out there in music land? Let's start with Brandon first.
Can we start?
Yeah,
We can
something
start
right
with
there.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. No, I want to say something on what the audience is looking at is the 3 of us.
Mm-hmm.
We were, along with Shelly and Taz, we were the team for our show, That's My Story.
Yeah.
It started out with Brandon, Midas, and myself. And I wanted the audience to know that was also a goal, because of the pandemic is how our show came about. Yeah, that's right. So, but that's what I wanted to say. I want to let people understand that the 3 of us were part of That's My Story in its inaugural year.
Tell people the philosophy of That's My Story.
Oh, the philosophy of it. Well, actually, Stephen, before it became That's My Story, we just decided to get on and have a chat, like a party chat with like our friends and fans. So that was Ken's idea, just like, because initially in the lockdown, we can't do any shows, we can't do this, can't do that. So it started out as just we coming on live, a few guys from the band, we're gonna talk to our friends, our fans, family, whatever. And so after doing that a couple of times, then it spawned into, let's have some guests on. So it spawned into That's My Story from it, just the desire to interact during the lockdown with the people that we have become so accustomed to seeing and performing in front of.
Well, tell the people about some of the guests that you have had on here.
Man. Well, okay, and to expound on what you initially asked. So the platform basically allows a live interactive with might as well say experts within the music industry, and not just the music industry, but we also had a psychic medium on. Whatever your field of expertise may happen to be in the entertainment industry, we would have them on, and the audience can chat live, take some questions and answers and stuff. So we've had Tommy Davidson, Lenny Williams, Bootsy Collins, Howard Hewitt, Shelley Clark White, Verdine White. Shall I continue? Ray Parker,
The Whispers,
the Honeycomb, the chairman of the board. Have been so many. And just a quick plug, those who want to go check it out on YouTube, go to the official chairman of the board page on YouTube. And it's the show, the platform is titled That's My Story. There's 50 plus episodes you can view.
But it's on another platform also.
That's right, too. It's on channel49tv.com. And we come on back to back with this great show right here. Shout out to our good friend, Stephen Davis, who also had us over for dinner back in Fayetteville. And man, it was some of the best food that I've had all year.
Now, do you all consider yourselves at this point a regional band, or do you do national tours other than England? Because England likes a group like yourselves on a constant basis. Do you go all over the country, or do you concentrate in a certain area?
Go ahead, Brandon.
As it stands now, we do have a very strong following in the Southeast region. So the Carolinas, and occasionally we'll do some shows in Virginia and Georgia.
Tennessee.
The board name is international. We've done several tours in England in the past few years. So yeah, the name and the brand is recognized worldwide. So I would say that definitely qualifies us as international artists, and the restrictions on travel and just the way things are right now don't allow us to travel abroad like we would normally like to, but it'll be coming back soon though.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the music that you all play? What is it?
They call it beach music because it was the people, right quick, the white kids back in the day, I say the 60s, so they couldn't play this stuff around the house because their parents looked at it as being devil music. But when they went to the beach, all the black music were on jukeboxes. And they would come down to the beach and play this music.
I remember the beach music.
Yeah.
From back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Northern, okay.
Yes.
Okay. You all seem to have put together a formula that works and that you all get along together. And that's always wonderful, because the worst thing is to be in a band that you hate the person that's next to you playing.
It's like sports. It's like sports. You got to have team chemistry. You hear a lot of people talk about that on the sports platforms, especially now that the NBA season is starting. They're looking at team chemistry. Who does this good? Who does that good? Who do they get along? But that's important when you're playing music too, is to have chemistry.
Yes, because it's a feeling. You can feel whether a person is getting along with you or not. And it affects your music and how you play it. But I do appreciate you all being on. It was just a
wonderful time.
That's the show about stuff, the Stephen Davis Show. Thank you so much. Thank you, our guests, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Yes.
Now, Brandon, I got something to say. But we're going to do it like this.
And I'm gonna keep her. Yeah, hey, 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 hey. That woman's love is super fine. Lord knows I'm glad I made her mine. You treat her bad, let her feel sad. Now you realize the good thing you had. It's too late, no need of crying. Never gonna give her up, and I ain't lying. Find the keepers, losers, weavers. I found the love you lost, and I'm gonna keep her. Find the keepers, losers, weavers. I said I found the love you lost, and I'm gonna keep her. Yeah, hey, 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 Find the keepers, losers, weepers. I found the love you lost, and I'm gonna keep her. Find the keepers, losers, weepers. I said I found the love you lost, and I'm gonna keep her. Find the keepers, losers, weepers. I found the love you lost, and I'm gonna keep her. Find the keepers, losers, weepers. I said I found the love you lost, and I'm gonna keep her. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in this week. Hope you enjoyed this show about stuff. See you next time.
I'm Selwyn Jones, the uncle of the late George Floyd. In my nephew's case, in his death, he didn't have a choice. But with COVID-19, we do.
Hi, I'm Shelley Clark White of The Honeycomb and co-host of the sensational podcast, That's My Story. While we all understand the discomfort of wearing a mask and receiving a vaccine, please recognize at this present time, the only solution to fighting this deadly virus is being vaccinated and wearing a mask, because we cannot afford to do nothing.
Hello, my name is Lorelei McBroom. I'm a professional singer. I've worked with Pink Floyd, the Rolling Stones, Nile Rodgers, and presently with the McBroom Sisters. The facts are 99.5% of all COVID deaths are among those who are unvaccinated and who refuse to wear a mask.
Hi, and I'm Ken Knox of the group Chairmen of the Board and co-host of the awesome podcast, That's My Story. So why play Russian roulette with your life and those of your family? COVID is real and it is on the rise. It is not going away unless we as a society together save society.
And I'm Stephen Davis, the host of the show about stuff, the Stephen Davis Show. That means that at this time in history, getting vaccinated and wearing a mask for all of society is all important. The life you may save not only will be your family's and yours, but more importantly to me, my family and mine.
Do us a favor. Get vaccinated. Wear your mask, please.